إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بمن اهتدى. There is no doubt it is your Rabb. He in fact knows better who is lost from his path and who is actually truly committed to guidance. He knows who's lost and he knows who's guided. First rant comment on the side, because I talk about this too much, so at least I should say it once, they'll get it out of my system. Muslims are obsessed with deciding who's guided and who's not guided. And when we get bored of deciding how misguided all of humanity is, then we're like, who else can I deem a kafir? So then they look at their fellow Muslim and say, hey, you look a little off. Tell me everything you believe. And then I'm going to make a video about how kafir you are. And then I'm going to make a video about how misguided you are and misguided you are. We're obsessed with declaring what? Who's guided and who's misguided. We're obsessed with it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with criticizing the wrong idea. Like if somebody has the wrong idea, you can criticize it. But we don't do that. We don't criticize ideas. We criticize people. There's a little difference between those two things. There's scholars that I talk to, that I learn from, that I strongly disagree with. But I think their idea about something is completely off. That's what I think. And I tell them that to their face. But you know what? I never consider them what? Misguided, kafir. I just know, to the best of my knowledge, this is what I find more convincing. I don't have the guts to declare someone else misguided. Because misguidance isn't just here. Guidance and misguidance is also where? And I don't have any access to here. I have access to their paper. I have access to their lecture. I have access to their ideas. I could say this idea, a little off. This argument, kind of weak. Okay, I can do that. But even that is not for me to put on YouTube for you to say, oh, this is what he thinks about him. You know what we like? Some of you guys like UFC. Now we have Islamic UFC. This one's doing this one, this one's doing. And then you come after the lecture, you say, Ustad Nouman, what's your opinion about this person? What's your opinion about this? Let me send you a video. Give me your opinion. What are you going to do with my opinion? You're going to make salad with my opinion? What are you going to do? You're going to become a better person because of my opinion? You're Islam. You're going to get closer to God because of my opinion? Your personal problems will disappear because of my opinion and my opinion on this person? Why do you want this? Because you like the entertainment of Muslim infighting. All of this is an obsession with what? Declaring who is guided and who is not guided. Allah says to His Prophet, He says to His Messenger, your Rabb is the one who actually knows better who has guidance, who's lost, and who truly has guidance. Because someone with truly wrong ideas in front of you right now, like Khalid ibn Walid, is actually guided down the road. There could be a Hamza who hasn't accepted Islam yet and will become a companion. You don't know yet. There's an Abu Sufyan who will be on the battlefield against you multiple times and will be doing sajda with the rest of the believers in Salah by the conquest of Makkah. There's a bunch of people in Makkah right now that hate your guts, but when Makkah is conquered, these are the people that are going to be doing Hajj with you. Inna rabbaka huwa a'lamu biman dalle an sabilihi wa huwa a'lamu biman ihtada. He knows. We can judge ideas. So there's a really interesting split that happens inside this ayah. We can judge the limit of their knowledge, but we can't judge them. You see that? The first part of the ayah, Zalike mebleguhum minel, is a criticism of their ideas. But the rest of the ayah is about, you can criticize their ideas, but you can't actually judge where they stand. That's mine. That's not for you. That's why it was put in the same ayah. Because what happens with us is, once we criticize somebody's ideas, then we decide we are ready to now make judgment on the person too. So he's separate. That line is drawn by Allah, folks. Unless you want to cut the ayah. الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ عِضِينَ. Those who take the Quran and tear it up. To tear it to pieces. Unless you're interested in that. Now I put the word lost here because in the beginning of the surah, مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى, I gave you the several meanings of lost. I made this super small so it's inconvenient for you to read. But I'm going to explain the secondary meanings of lost again. One was when two things appear as one. When two things appear as one. You know why I wrote that? Because dalal now, for a lot of people also is, because of the limits of their knowledge, they see all religions as a cultural, anthropological phenomenon. This Arabian culture developed Islam. and the Mediterranean region developed Christianity, and the Judaism and Hinduism from the East, and the Asian regions, Buddhism, etc. 2,500 years ago. All of these religions are cultural, anthropological phenomenon. So we're going to study Buddhism the same way we study Islam, the same way we study Christianity, just as a historical phenomenon. That's what academics do. You know what that is? When two things are looked at as one. The right thing and the wrong thing are being conflated as though they're the same. And that's one of the meanings of dalal, when two things appear as one. Remember when the body is buried under the dirt and it looks like just dirt, and that's called dal, right? When two things become one. The other is wasted. And this is true. These people that have great knowledge of the world, their intelligence is being wasted because they don't want to think about what's going on here. It's such a profound mind. I met a brilliant linguist when I was in Italy. Among the 32 cities I was in since August, I was in Rome, and I was in Palermo too. Palermo, there was a Quran conference of Orientalists in Palermo, the ICSA convention. So non-Muslim academics mostly, and some Muslims also, were there attending this conference. And I met a brilliant grammarian and linguist of the Arabic language. I won't name him. Non-Muslim, loves the Quran, did a PhD on the Quran because it's literature for him, right? And when you ask him, so you ever think about it, like whether it's from God or not? They go, that's not my concern. My concern is the grammar. Zalike mebleguhum minel, inne rabbeke huve dalle. Wasted away. So close. There are billions of Muslims who would die to learn 1/10 of the Arabic that you know, bro. They would die to know it. And you have it? What a waste. Dude, what a waste. You should have just learned Chinese or something. I don't know. Then destroyed. The word dal also means destroyed. Like, alam yaj'al kaydahum fi tadlil. Dalal also means destruction. Allah knows who's headed towards destruction. Dalal also, rajulun dal is kathiru tadabbur. So it also means a person who listens to just anybody. They're easily convinced. They follow just anything. Gullible people. Allah knows people that easily get gullible and turn away from His path. It's interesting the word His path was used also because a path symbolizes direction, right? And dalal symbolizes lack of direction. Allah is saying He gives direction. Allah knows people who don't want to follow that direction anymore. وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اهْتَدَى. And He knows better who truly does and doesn't have guidance. This is also a really important ayah about judging and not judging. I want to expose the hypocrisy that's happening in woke culture right now. Don't judge anyone, bro. You just judged me for judging this idea. Don't listen to anyone. Why am I listening to you right now? You're telling me not to listen to anyone. And you're like, thank you guys for listening to me. Make sure don't listen to anyone. It's just internally, there's no direction in this new found freedom. We don't know what to do with it. We're going in every single crazy direction. And Allah has given us biman ihtada, the one who committed to guidance. The path and guidance have been equated here for an important reason, because guidance is not one thing. Guidance is a journey. Somebody is on their way to guidance. They're Christian right now. They're reading the Quran. They're learning some things. They're actually already on the road to guidance. Even though they're going to church every Sunday, they're still on the road to guidance. There's somebody who's just became Muslim. They're just starting to get into the prayers. They're learning them. They're still having a hard time committing to all 5 prayers. There's a process for them. They're on the road to guidance. It's a journey for them. They'll get there. Allah didn't give 5 prayers a day immediately to the people who took Shahada, even the Sahaba. He could have. It could have been the moment you take Shahada, food, alcohol, prayers, all of these restrictions would have been on day 1, like we do with Muslims when they become Muslim, right? Take it easy, let them grow into it. It's a journey. Allah knows who's more committed. It could be the people who are struggling with their prayer, but on this journey may be closer in guidance to Allah than the people who are praying 5 times a day and judgmental about others because they're doing something blasphemous when they pass judgment on others, because it's only for Allah to do. Inna rabbeke huve a'lamu biman dalle an sabilihi wa huve a'lamu biman ihtada. It's really interesting. Ibn Ashur says, why did Allah say, certainly your Rabb knows? It is only your Rabb who knows, who has guidance, who doesn't have guidance. He's talking to the Prophet. The Prophet's not a doubtful audience. Remember, emphasis is used when you have a doubtful audience. And there's double emphasis, almost like a refusing audience. That's how and it's the Prophet who's being talked to. So why would Allah talk to his Prophet in this way? Sometimes you talk to one person, but you're actually talking to someone else. So for example, if I tell you, these volunteers are so lazy. I'm talking to you, but I'm actually talking to the volunteers are amazing, by the way. The shaitan gave me that example. But but the point is, if I did that, I'm talking to you, but I'm actually talking to them. And the issue is, they're not worth my time that I should talk to them directly. So there's an anger of Allah in these words, but it's not directed at the Prophet, even though he's raising his voice at the Prophet ﷺ. Some of you that are married know this. Sometimes your husband or your wife calls you very angry, not at you, at someone else. I can't believe they're doing that. And you know them long enough to know they're not mad at me. They're just mad at their uncle, or they're mad at their boss, and they're not throwing punches at you. If you early on in the relationship, you're like, why am I receiving this? Why the hostility towards me? Later on, you understand, oh, okay, I'm the sounding board, and I'm supposed to say, yeah, get him. That was my role. So this is my way of explaining Ibn Ashur.